Welcome to everyone. This week video will cover the Bitcoins for the week of July 8, 2024. In this week video you will learn how powerful and profitable the cycles are, and how to use them to trade the Bitcoin market successfully to increase your profits. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. To trade the Bitcoins, I personally like the BITO ETF, which track the Bitcoins very well. Also, this ETF pay very good dividend. On the month of June, the dividend was $1.50. It is an easy way to trade the Bitcoins. It's been a while since I published a Bitcoins update. To be precise, the last one was on January 22, 2024. So let's start by the long-term picture to know where we are. During this update, I placed the 4.5 year cycle low on November 2022 at 15,599. Since this update, we had the confirmation of this low was an important low. The lower time frame was an 18-month cycle, so we will start by this cycle. The next 18-month cycle was on November 2022. The next 18-month cycle is expected mid-July, this week, with possibility the low formed last week. When this cycle low will be confirmed, we can expect a very good rally up to April 2025. To form the peak of this 18-month cycle. Depending where the price's peak will form, compared to the cycle peak, we can expect a mild to sharp correction. If the peak on the left side, left time translation, the correction could be sharp. If it occur on the right side, we can expect a mild correction. The next 18-month cycle low should be formed in January or February 2026. Let's see the 40-week cycle. According to the Hurst principle of synchronicity, all the cycle of lower time frame will bottom at the same time in the 18-month. This 40 weeks should bottom very soon. The last 40-week cycle occurred on September 11, 2023. We can expect the next 40-week cycle peak around the first week of December and the low around end or April 2025, the yellow zone on the chart. A more precise time target will be calculated when the 18-month cycle low will be confirmed. The success rate is 100%. The 20-week cycle. In my last update, I was expecting the 20-week cycle low forming around mid-January. The 20-week cycle low occurred on January 23, just few days later than expected. The next one is expected to occur this week or may even occurred last week. I also mentioned the Bitcoin should find support on his cycle line. But since the Bitcoin's market is very bullish, there is a possibility the market won't reach it. It's exactly what's happened on January. The 20-week found support on his cycle line. Technically, this 20-week cycle should bottom last week. If that's correct, then we can expect the next 20-week cycle low the last week of November. If is late, we will move the date by the same number of weeks the market missed the low. On June 17, the Bitcoin's market crossed lightly below his cycle line at 67,275. But since that time the Bitcoins keep trading on his cycle line, invalidating the signal. The success rate is 75%. The 80 days cycle. The last 80 days cycle occurred on May 1. The present one is expected to form a low on July 5. On the June 13 and 14, the Bitcoins crossed below his cycle line at 67,565 and 66,598. For a potential downside target zone between 63,233 and 61,299. For $4,342 and $5,309. Or between 6.42 and 7.97% of potential profits. On June 23, the Bitcoins meet his target and keep moving down. The success rate is 80%. When the Bitcoins will cross above his cycle line, this will give the confirmation of the 18 months bottom is formed. Let's see the roadmap in order to get an idea of the next move. Let assume the Bitcoins formed his low on July 5. If he form his low later, we just have to change the date by the same amount of days. After forming his 80 days cycle low on July 5, the Bitcoin's market will cross above his cycle line. providing an upside potential target for the next 20 days cycle. Then after forming the 20 days cycle peak, the Bitcoins will start a correction to form a low on July 22nd, finding support on his cycle line. If the Bitcoins cross below his cycle line at that time, this will be sign of more weakness. Then the market will rally and form his 40 days cycle peak. To stay bullish, the 40 days peak have to form on the right part of the 40 days cycle. Then after his 40 days peak, the Bitcoin should cross below his cycle line, providing a downside target for the 40 days cycle low on August 8th. After the 40 days low, the market will cross above his cycle line, providing an upside target for the 80 days cycle peak. After the 80 days cycle peak formation, the Bitcoins will cross back below his cycle line, providing a downside target for the next 80 days cycle low, forming a first low around the last week of August. Then rally toward his cycle line, using it as resistance, before heading down to September 11th to form the 80 days cycle low. The 40 days cycle. The last 40 days cycle low was on May 31st. The next one is expected to form on July 5th. On June 13th, the Bitcoin's market crossed below his cycle line at 67,800. Providing a downside target at 63,693, or $4,107 or 6.05%. On June 23rd, the Bitcoins meet and exceed his target. The 71,907 high occurred on the left part of the cycle, the red dashed line. Hurst called that left time translation. This explained the sharp decline. If you want to know more about time translation, I advise you to watch my series of videos, Secrets Behind Cycles. I posted the link in the description below. The success rate is 57%. The 20 days cycle. On June 11th, the Bitcoins crossed below his cycle line at 68,888, providing a potential downside target at 65,869, or $3,019, or 38% of potential profits. On June 24th, the Bitcoins formed a 20-day cycle low, well below his target. The next 20 days cycle is scheduled for July 11th. The 20-day cycle line is a very important line. In fact, when the Bitcoins will cross above it, this will provide an upside potential target. But also this will be the first sign of the 80 days cycle is formed. With the principle of synchronicity, this will also confirm the possibility of the end of the 18-month cycle. The success rate is 60%. The 10 days cycle. The previous 10 days cycle formed on June 24th, with a low at 58,456. On June 30th, the market crossed above his cycle line at 61,000. For a possible target at $63,544. $2,544 or 17% of potential profit. With a high at 63,777 on July 1, the Bitcoin's market meet his target. Then declined to form the next 10-day cycle, scheduled on July 5th. On July 4th, the market crossed below his cycle line at 61,055, providing a downside potential target at 58,333, or $2,722 and 46% of potential profit. The target has been already met. The success rate is 78%. In conclusion, we can expect a major low occur this week. This low will be the 18-month cycle. There is the possibility the 18-month cycle low already formed last week. After confirmation of this major low, we can expect a very good rally. This is the end of this week's video. Thank you for following me. Next week, I will publish another market update.